Hi, everybody. Welcome. We're going to give everyone a few more minutes to join. Please let us know where you're coming from in the chat. We'd love to hear where you're zooming in from. I'm in New York myself, and it's so good to see so many of you here with us today. Thank you so much for joining. We'll get started in just a minute. Okay, yes, welcome everybody. I'm going to say a few things about this meeting, and then we'll hand it over to our speaker. And again, if you're just joining us, please let us know where you're coming from in the chat. So hello and welcome. Welcome to Tricycle's 4th Annual Buddhism and Ecology Summit. I'm Allison Spiegel, Tricycle's Senior Editor of Audience Engagement, and I'm so happy to be here with you today for the 5th event in this series. Soon it's with meditation teacher Larry Ward. The subject is Sunyata at Heart, the gateway to nature's endless miraculousness. So this event is part of a 3-day series of conversations with Buddhist teachers, writers, and environmental activists exploring interconnectedness in the natural world. We're also offering a film screening of the movie Interdependence, which is an anthology of 11 films exploring the diverse impacts of climate change across the globe. We're very grateful to our event sponsor, the Best Family Foundation, whose mission it is to foster kindness and caring for all beings through mindfulness and meditation practices. You can learn more about the Best Family Foundation at bestfoundation.org. So before we begin, I just want to let you know that at the end, we'll save some time for questions. So please get those ready, and you can pose your questions by writing them in the chat or by raising your Zoom hand when we get to that portion. So now I am pleased to introduce our guest today, Dr. Larry Ward. Larry Ward is the co-founder of the Lotus Institute, a senior teacher in Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh's Plum Village tradition of engaged Buddhism, and he's the author of America's Racial Karma, An Invitation to Heal. Dr. Ward holds a PhD in religious studies with an emphasis on Buddhism and the neuroscience of meditation. As a teacher, Dr. Ward interweaves insights with personal stories and resounding clarity that express his Dharma name, True Great Sound. Welcome, Larry. Thank you so much for joining us. I will turn it over to you now.
Thank you, Allison, and everyone else for being here today, spending your precious time with us together. A poem for you. I am the earth, even when I wake up crying. These are the earth's tears. Even the ocean of suffering belongs to her. I am the earth, speaking to you now, and you are the earth, listening with your precious ears. I am the earth walking through my doubts, my fears, my sadness, my loneliness, my suffering. But I am also the rain falling and the birds singing with joys to bless the world. I am the earth walking through my doubts and fears, my loneliness, my suffering. But I am also the rain falling and the birds singing with joy to bless the day and night. I'm getting washed all over by my tears and my hope as the rain continues to fall. I am celebrating the miracle of every earth breath, every earth sigh, every earth smile, every earth hug, every earth touch of kindness. They bring me home. I am the earth, and so are you. It's been said long ago that when the Buddha first awakened, he awakened to something, as we all do. With the stilling of his mind, the dropping of his attachments, he awoke to what's now called dependent origination, insight into the nature of coming and going of all phenomena, of interconnectedness for all phenomena. And many traditions have highlighted this, whether it's the Huayan tradition from Japan have also highlighted this. It means that nothing exists in and of itself. Nothing comes into being in and of itself or goes out of being in and of itself. It is what we often have referred to in the Buddhist speak, emptiness. It does not mean vacuum. It does not mean nothing is there. In fact, it means quite the opposite. It means that everything is there. All phenomena are involved in your very existence, in your coming and your going. So it is not about nothingness. It is about everything comes to be because of causes and conditions, even your own precious life and the precious life of the earth around us at all times. It is really sometimes quite difficult for us to be willing to live with change, willing to live with impermanence. But as we practice and our practice deepens, we can learn to let go into the future. We can learn to let go beyond duality, which is propped up by our egos. Sunyata refers to all things are empty of an intrinsic existence. It does not mean they are not there. It means they are not there alone. Like you are not there alone. You are not there without your mother and your father, and their mother and their grandfathers, and probably at least 11 million other ancestors you don't know, propping up your bones and your genes. The focus of my attention has been really in two areas as of late. One is to apply my practice of meditation and mindfulness to the natural world that is most close to me. So I'm going to talk about what's outside my door, what's in my backyard. And what I'm encouraging us to do for practice is to practice where it is close to you. Even if it's just the plants and flowers in your house, learn to practice with them. Learn to look at them deeply and see how they hold emptiness, how they hold the comings and goings of all life, of all phenomena in themselves. I'm here in Exeter, Rhode Island, in a little rental house. We are in a location that has 2 acres of a field behind it, probably close to 1,000 trees. A lot of birds, rabbits, chipmunks, wild turkeys, and lots of squirrels. and just every day to see how much life goes on in the field. How many species are sustained in coming and going into this world in the field? How life is sustained. I've 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 been focusing on getting personal about this. So we have quite a few red-headed woodpeckers here where we are in our field. And so I've been spending time looking at them. I've decided to look a little more closely at what they do, how they fit in to the symphony that is the Sunyata of the forest. They they excavate trees. They provide nesting opportunities for other species and other beings. They help in the decomposition and the re-nutrifying of elements. They disperse seeds, all these functions that for most of us are invisible. That's the more I'm learning that I look out over the field, I recognize how much I don't see. But how much I don't see is still yielding, teeming life, full of wonder and amazement. You can begin to think that life sustains life, that life is meant to sustain life. I love the sound of the woodpeckers. They're quite constant. As far as I can tell, they take 5 pecks each time. And then they rest, and then they take 5 pecks each time, which is something we probably need to learn how to do as people. Spend 5 energies on it and then rest. Spend energy on it and then rest. So you maintain your full capacity at all times. It's such a wonderful thing to bear witness every day. I I know it's easy to have the circle of your concern for our ecological dilemma to weigh on your heart and weigh on your mind. But what I've done, and I would encourage you to do as well, is to focus on the circle of your influence. And the circle of your influence with ecology begins with your own heart and begins with your own mind. And the more you can develop an intimacy, meaning a non-dualistic relationship to the natural world that you are and that is around you, the more at ease you can be as an earthling, the more wise you can be as a son or daughter or being of the earth. So look out of your back door, whether it's a park or a garden or something else, but pick a place that you want to get intimate with, that you want to look at deeply and learn how to respect all the beings that are there. And I tell you, looking at our field in the back, it would take years and years for me to crawl around on the ground to meet all the beings that are in the field behind me. And it would take probably another year to greet them all. But I think we have to be this way in order for the earth not to simply be objectified. We must start to realize our intimate connection to the whole process. So the earth is not out there. It is here and now. It is in here and out there. It can be, it's springtime. And I've noticed in the last week that insects are returning. And it's so easy to live in irritation as the insects return or try to return to our doorways, our screens, and our kitchens. And I decided, while we are protecting ourselves from being overwhelmed by insects, I decided to make part of my practice to recognize what insects provide us with. So there's no reason to take an ant for granted, or a fly, or a bee. They sustain us in ways we hardly imagine. They pollinate plants, they decompose waste and organic material. They're an important source of food. And for me, they are inspiring. If you ever seen a group of ants get it together and do something, that can be quite an inspiring image of what it means to be an effective collective. Thich Nhat Hanh used to use the example of ants quite often to demonstrate what it means to collaborate and cooperate together. And so at the roots of our awareness that is non-dual, we recognize that we are the earth. The earth is also not a separate entity. It is a manifestation of causes and conditions of the cosmos and our own minds. So figure out how and where you can or you want to get more intimate with the particularities of nature where you are. If you don't have a garden, maybe you should start one. If you don't have a potted plant, maybe you should get one. But get close as you can so that you don't forget. Like that plant, you are growing. And like that plant, you need watering. And like that plant, you need nourishment. So what the plant needs is not so far from what we need. What the tree needs is not so far from what we need. And in our 2 acres back here, we have close to 1,000 trees in my mind. And if there's 1,000 trees above, you can hardly imagine the complex root structure below. And I realized just day before yesterday that I'm sitting on the roots of trees. Our house is sitting on the roots of trees. And then I started to realize I am sitting on the lives of others who came before me in the land, whether I know them or not, whether I can call their names or not. They are here in the land. So learning how to be with the earth, the dust, the comings and goings, the wind, the fire, the air, the earth, learning how to be human. There's a book several years ago, well, quite a few years ago, written by a Christian theologian called Paul Tillich. The book was called The Courage to Be. And if we're anywhere right now in the world, in my view, we are still at the point of deciding, do we really want to be? Are we willing to be ourselves, with ourselves? Are we willing to be with one another? Are we willing to create the how and the conditions by which we can be with the earth, which includes us and all other species? What would those conditions be that we can be nourished by our relationship to the earth? Figure out those conditions for you where you are, and then see if you can't stir those conditions up in others. And they'll come up with their own, but it's very important we create the conditions by which we can recognize we are the earth. We can cultivate the fact we are the earth through our practice. And part of our practice needs to be not just meditation, but needs to be making the earth sacred through ritual. I think we have to go places. I did a lot of this with Thich Nhat Hanh. We went places where there was suffering and reclaimed the earth. We went places where construction companies were trying to overrun a tide pool, and we did walking meditation, stop them. So it's very important that we have practical responses. And it doesn't matter how small. What matters is the quality of heart and energy that goes into the practice or activity itself. Because part of understanding sunyata and emptiness is even in your smallest action of care is care for the whole. Even in your smallest wish for safety, for yourself, for the green things around you is a wish for safety of all of us. And it is noble. So understand the nobility of being an earthling. And if you want to, you can meditate one day on how many people get to be earthlings. How many people have lived on this planet before us? And what an honor it is to live on this planet and know we're on this planet. To be mindful of the fact that we are on this planet. And as we are mindful of the fact we're on this planet, we deepen our realization that we are this planet. So find the spot, find the place that you want to become intimate with in your practice. Also include information about it. Decide to learn about it, like I'm learning about insects and ants and woodpeckers. So I'm not just looking at some bird out there, some animal over there. I'm looking at a sibling who I need to get to know so I can fully respect their presence on the earth. Just like we are aspiring to hold presence for one another as a human species. It's amazing how our animal friends know how we feel. I do not think that is an accident. They know by science, we know they can read our emotions. I had a friend long ago who had epilepsy difficulties. She had a dog named Angel, which was a Great Dane, a huge dog, bigger than her. And when she started to have an attack, Angel knew what to do to put her body in the right position so the attack would stop. I got to see this happen. It's unbelievable. None of us people in the room knew what to do, but Angel did. And so if we can learn more about how we learn from each other and how we can learn from the natural world itself, all of its species, plant, animal, mineral, we can learn so much about how we can create the world worthy of our life, worthy of the life of the river, of the mountain, of the sea, of the cloud, of the flower, all worthy. So mindfulness, I think maybe the most important book I ever read from Thich Nhat Hanh was The Miracle of Mindfulness, because it helped me develop a practice of being able to be in wonder all the time. Yes, I know suffering. Yes, I experience suffering, but I live in wonder. I live in the miraculous. All I have to do is look out the window and I'm in awe. All I have to do is step on the porch, go to the river, sit by the ocean, travel on my friends' boats as they oyster fish, and I'm in awe with the wonders of the natural world. Our closest friends here are oyster people, and it's just great to hear them say how they've supported their family and their children all these years through their relationship with oysters. I had no idea. That was just like total news to me. Anybody could support a life that way. But the oysters have been willing to support life. And my friends are willing to also support life. I think we have to look at how we support life, how we water the good seeds everywhere we go, how we nourish what needs to be nourished, and how we don't nourish what does not need to be nourished. This is nature's way. Yes, we are sometimes see ourselves simply as small waves in a great ocean in which we rise and fall. It's important to recognize the fact you are the ocean that is making the wave that's rising and falling, always back to the ocean itself. I think making the earth sacred. Our ancestors knew how to do this. And across the world, I've lived many places and experienced some of the ancient practices of how we make the earth sacred. It is more than a mine. It is more than a shop. It is more than a mall. It is more than a place to buy things. It is more than a place to build things. Though building things and buying things is fine. But the earth is more than that. It's a holy being that deserves our respect and our honor. Look at all the life it has provided over centuries. All the life it's providing now. Thich Nhat Hanh used to say the earth is the bodhisattva, a wise and compassionate being. And because we are the earth, we too have inherent wiseness and compassion to share with all of life, all beings, two-legged, four-legged, winged, and crawling, all of life itself, in a way that is, what's the right way to say this? In a way that only is possible when we have dropped the ego. Then the fullness of the miracle of life itself can light up your eyes every day, touch your heart every moment, even in the midst of suffering. The natural world is us and around us and lives through us and through our continuation. I have a Sunyata poem for you. It's not finished, but it's a start. Sunyata in every breath, in every blink of an eye, in the grace of an eagle's flight, in the sounds of the river's blessings. There is no you to be here, but you are here. Our little clocks are incomplete. They cannot compare the vastness of our time. A morning show of squirrels and chipmunks and birds and rabbits danced this morning of life's vitality in motion. 1,000 trees in my view, so many species to count, but counting is not enough. Feel the wonder, feel the miracle. Heaven's oceans breaking out, climbing, budding in sunlight, teeming with life forces, appearing to come and go, sunyata in every breath. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Well, that was really beautiful, and thank you so much. We have some time for questions if anyone would like to um, enter. You can write a question in the chat, or you can raise your Zoom hand and we can call on you to unmute. And give everyone some time to reflect on that beautiful poem. And yes, thank you. Yeah, please feel free to share your reflections as well if you don't have a question. Okay, I see Libby has your hand raised. You can go ahead and ask your question, Libby. Thank you.
Hi, Libby.
Hi, it's wonderful to be in this space with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm kind of amazed to see you. I mean, I've gotten a lot out of listening to you over time, so thank you. But yeah, what's coming up for me, and thank you for bringing us into the space that you brought us into. And I'm sitting here in Chicago, and there's trucks and cars going by. You know, that's the sounds I'm hearing. You know, and what it's bringing up is that experience of being present in an environment like, you know, we have the lake here, Lake Michigan is amazing space, and you know, we have community garden, we have various, you know, trees, you know, in our neighborhood, everything, but yeah, always the experience of being, I mean, almost always the experience of being with these great beings of the lake or the trees or the, you know, are also accompanied by the sounds and the sights of airplanes and, you know, these other, which for me evoke destruction, you know, and climate change and pollution and these forces that, you know, feel like they're in tension with life, with the flourishing of life. So yeah, I'm just, I understand my practice to be being with all of that, you know, and but it's a complex experience. So I don't know. I just wondered if there's anything that comes up for you as I bring that in.
Yes, it is complex and it is hard. So that's the fact of it. But helps me to remember a scientist I studied long ago called Lauren Isley wrote a paper called How Natural is Natural. So I think it's, for me, important to remember when I see the plane overhead, we invented it. When I see the smoke clouds coming out of the factories, we created it. We natural beings created this stuff that is now killing us. So we have to own that, not get depressed by it. We have to own it and do whatever we can in our daily life to make sure we are not contributing to it as best we can. Life is not perfect, as you know. So everything we do, I think Robert Bly wrote a poem about this once, but everything we do has a crack in it. and and so we do the best we can with what we have. To me, what helps me is to learn how to train my mind. And from a neuroscience point of view, the more time we pay attention to the airplanes, the less time we pay attention to flowers. And when we do pay attention to airplanes, which are fine, I like riding on a plane, we need to spend 5 times as much attention on flowers to create the neural network that can embrace constant recognition of the miracle of life. It's not simply the work of the left hemisphere. It cannot do it because only the right hemisphere has been developed through evolution to recognize wholeness. So do what you can to nourish your recognition of the wholeness of life. And then in the midst of that, there are airplanes. In the midst of that, there are factories. They're not going to like disappear unless we change our minds. And so for me, the practice is how do we change our minds? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I see a question in the chat that says, Is it possible to find oneness not only with Earth, but with Earthlings? How? How to coexist with egos from oneness?
Well, it would take a whole semester to answer that question, but my response is the most recent way I have learned how to experience oneness with other human beings has been to recognize we all fundamentally have the same nervous system. And so the more I learn about the nervous system and how it functions and how it finds peace, how it finds aggression, and how it finds delusion, I am more in touch with you and anywhere else I want to go in the world because we all have basically the same nervous system. So learning how to understand the nervous system, to respect it, to help it develop a sense of wellness and a sense of management of itself into what's called individual regulation. I've discovered in my work around the world for many years that individual regulation is the basis for co-regulation. If the individual is not stabilized, the group cannot be stabilized. But when the individual has a degree of stabilization or regulation of their nervous system, a group can develop a collaborative relationship of their nervous systems, even if they're not perfect. But that's important because once that's established, you can go to co-imagination. And right now, not enough of us have mastered our own nervous systems, not in perfection, but in daily regulation. So we are inhibited from co-regulation possibilities and therefore really cut off from our co-imagination. Is how I currently see the dilemma we are in. But I think it's possible. I've worked around the world with nervous systems, Mexico, India, Africa, Egypt, etc., Rome. It didn't matter. We still have the same basic hardware. And so learning how to work with this hardware with wellness oriented, with kindness, with respect is the key to us being able to work with each other with kindness and respect. There are states of our nervous system we're in fight and flight we cannot hear. We don't even know what we said when we're in fight and flight. And I meet people all the time who had this horrendous argument who can't remember what it was about. That's a sign of being stuck in fight or flight area of the nervous system. It's not wrong, it's just natural. But learning when you're stuck and how to get out of being stuck is of ultimate importance.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. I think we can all relate to the some of that. And thank you for the question. Please, if feel free to keep posing your questions as they come to you or raising your hand. I see another one in the chat. Tell us how connecting to nature will help us to be more compassionate to other points of view.
Well, in my experience so far, is I connect to different phenomena in nature, trees, woodpeckers, rabbits, chipmunks, wild turkeys. Each of those phenomena are unique, but they all want safety. And they all recognize safety. And so for me, as I'm able to recognize and create environments in myself of safety, externally and internally, my capacity to create environments for safety for others, externally and internally, grows. And it can grow into a skill set. But we are not trained to consciously create safety. we have mostly been trained to consciously protect ourselves and to live in fear, not the tools of safety making. So we're just learning how we can make safety with each other. And until we can, we have issues we cannot remotely respond to because we're not safe enough to even talk about it.
Yes, I'm just shaking my head. Yes. Thank you. I'm going to read someone's response before I go to the next question. Sharon writes, I hear you say that we all have the same nervous system. A practice named nonviolent communication is based on the belief that we all have the same needs, such as authenticity, connection, autonomy, understanding, mattering. This practice has helped me understand the behaviors of others and myself. Thank you, Sharon, for sharing that reflection. So we have another question in the chat this one's from Simona. What might we learn from Mother Earth about conflict? Does Mother Earth experience both healthy and unhealthy conflict?
Well, a couple of ways of looking at it. I think the Earth provides many views of conflict for us to learn about. So the trees in my backyard, some of them are straight and beautiful, and some of them are interwoven with crookedness, but are also still beautiful. So nature has a way of working things out, of life sustaining life, of tree branches growing in ways we did not expect, of stones being where no one put them. And so it is with people. The training in mindfulness for me in part is about social logical love, but how to love others. The greatest quote I've ever heard about that was from when I was in India for a couple of years. And there were some students who had just finished a retreat with a Hindu teacher who came up to him at the end and said, what do we do about the others? Meaning the people who didn't come to the retreat. And he turned around and said, what others? And walked on. This is the training we must have. We've been so conditioned in otherness that we cannot recognize sameness. I don't mean sameness as robots. I don't mean sameness as constructed. I mean sameness as basically humanness. We hardly can recognize it. We're most skilled at recognizing unwellness than we are wellness. I was looking at some of our movie options last night, and I was trying to find one that didn't have a gun in it. It took a long time, but I found one. See how we're conditioned. Think of Plato's cave, the allegory of it, and how people for their whole lives have been looking at a screen with images projected from behind them of what the world is and who's in it and how they should relate and what they should be afraid of, all done in the darkness. And one of them eventually escapes to the light and is stunned by the light and makes the daring adventure to go back in the cave to help other people come out at the risk of their own life. Because not everyone wants to come out of the cage. Even parts of us don't want to come into the light. But that is our best opportunity for liberation, both individually and collectively, from what is holding us back. So to ask oneself, How is my daily life conditioning me? And Thich Nhat Hanh would ask us to look at the four nutriments. It's coming to my mind right now. Our edible food. How does our edible food condition us in relation to nature and to the natural world? What we eat, what does it tell us about our world? What we eat, where it came from, how it got to the plate, to deeply look at the food we eat and how it came to be, as well as its nourishments and nutriments for us. The second thing to pay attention to is sensory impressions. What are you surrounded with on the walls and in pictures and in statues and in images? What are the impressions on your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body, and your mind that you live with? And then ask yourselves, what are the habits, the mental habits I have around the natural world? I've always really disliked insects and found them terribly irritating. And that's why I'm now studying what I can learn about what they can learn about me, what I can learn from them. I'm just turning it around. And I've discovered some amazing things with birds as well, to have hummingbirds come and stare at you and to hang there like they know who you are. It's just astounding. I know you've had experiences like this where the natural world is reaching out to you as a part of it to be with it and cherish those moments. Write some poems, write some songs, create some dances, do some art, celebrating the natural world as a part of us. Not just a field for farming, not just lumber for cutting, not just gold for digging, and so on. How do we make the earth sacred? I think one of the ways we do that, our ancestors have known for a long time, and we have the good fortune of working with several indigenous people with Lotus, and they have plenty of ceremonies from their history in which you're always making the earth sacred, always making the earth full of respect from you and honor from you with the elements you honor and the ways you honor the natural, the two-legged, the four-legged, the winged, and the crawling ones. Wow. And to know that our life is a rich mystery of all of this is to, for me, begin to understand birth and death and continuation.
Thank you. Someone, Tyler wrote in the chat an experience that I'll read, but if anyone else wants to share an experience where they made, nature sacred, or they had an experience like the hummingbird looking at them, please share. I'm thinking about some myself. So Tyler writes, I had to move into a neighborhood in Long Beach to meet wild squirrels that will now actually eat out of my hand. It is the most amazing connection to develop.
Great.
Yeah, that's so nice. Yes, please raise your hand or write something in the chat. I'm thinking about just what you referenced earlier with the woodpeckers, Larry. I recently was out in the woods with my my sons, and my 2-year-old kept saying in his kind of broken words, he doesn't really speak yet, but I want to hear it. I want to hear it. We had to be really quiet, and it was just a really fun moment to see these 2 kids that are usually really loud and just quiet, and then they could hear the woodpecker, and it was and now I'm trying to think if it was 5 taps too, maybe. So please, if anyone has anything else that they want to share, we love This Is Why We're Here. But if not, I can say a few more words about the summit, and then Larry, I'll hand it back over to you to kind of close us out. This has been so wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. Please don't be shy if I'm talking, but please chime in, anybody, if anyone has anything else. But I just wanted to mention, again, this is an annual summit here at Tricycle, where we celebrate the environment and nature and how we relate to it. So thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We're really happy to offer this by donation. If you haven't already, please consider making a donation by going to tricycle.org/donate. If you'd like to rewatch any of these events or catch any that you didn't see, the replays will be available to everybody at the end of our third day. So at the end of tomorrow, we'll send an email with all of the recordings. They'll also be on YouTube. Please watch them, please share them. And we hope to see you at the next event, which will be tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern, April 24th. We will be hearing from Deki La Changalapa, sorry. She'll be talking, her talk is In Deep Water, Learning to Build Deep Resilience in the Anthropocene. So you can join using the same Zoom link, and we do hope to see you there. One more note is that every Monday now at Tricycle, we have a weekly meditation at 11 a.m. Eastern. And this month we've been meeting with Mark Coleman, who's been doing some eco-dharma practices. Mark is leading one last session with us. So Monday, April 28th, 11 a.m. Eastern. Please join us for that. If you've enjoyed these talks, you will enjoy that. And all of this information can be found at tricycle.org. But we do hope you'll join us for that and the rest of the summit. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for joining. And I see we have one more hand raised, so I'll call on Shannon, and then after that we'll conclude. So Shannon, please go ahead. Oh, I think we can't hear you, Shannon. Let's see. But thank you. No? Okay. Well, if you'd like to, write something in the chat, but thank you. Thank you for joining us. And Larry, I'm gonna pass it back to you.
Okay, one more thing I'd like to remind all of us of is our spiritual practice of meditation, mindfulness, and yoga, chanting, etc., is not without consequence. Enough has been studied the last 25 years about the neurological impact of spiritual practice. The rosary has been studied, meditation has been studied, chanting has been studied, and all these studies are still continuing. But what we have learned so far is that when we practice sincerely, meditation, etc., practices like this, the neurons, the brain cells we have move around, and our brain structure is improved, and our networking of our brain cells is improved, and the health of our brain cells are improved. So please remember that spiritual practice is not abstract practice. It is biological practice, because the first foundation of the body is the body. The first foundation of mindfulness is the body. And don't forget your precious body. Take good care of it. Take good care of what you put in it. And that will take good care of what comes out of it. in the best sense of the word.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for joining. Hope to see everybody soon.
Take good care.
Thank you.